Well, we did it again. I uploaded a YouTube video and you posted a blog post, which
Yep.
I guess is just kind of our new routine now. We agree to deadlines and then we both do them. Uh, I don't think either one of us has missed a deadline yet. I think
Not
the
so far.
public shame would be too much for either of us to handle, so we followed through. How did you feel about this one?
Uh, Pretty good. There's a couple observations I have. One is that I absolutely would not have done this if we had not agreed to the deadline. Just wouldn't have done it. I also would not have gotten the email stuff figured out if you hadn't publicly berated me on that. And even the
I
thing even the thing that I said would be super simple, the little RSS subscribe button ended up being ridiculous and complicated and it took me half a day. So I am pretty sold on this process of making this pact between us and then publicly stating we're going to do something because it just never would have happened otherwise.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say same here because I feel like well, it would have been different. I would still be working on it. It's funny because before when you were asking me if I wanted to join you in the 25th, whatever, I was like, well, that seems a little further away than what I was thinking, but
Yeah.
sure, that's a good date to set it on. And I was working until literally the last minute. I posted it. It went online at like 11:59,
Yeah.
and I mean, I was up and recording and editing up until the very last minute. So that was absolutely insane.
I was
Yeah, I
worried because I'm 3 hours behind you. So at 9 or 8:58, whatever, I'm thinking, oh, it's deadline time for Daniel. And so I go to your YouTube channel expecting to see a video and it wasn't there. I'm like, oh no. Did this all just fall apart? Did he break it? Are we done? And no, it was processing, which counts. That's outside of your control timeline wise. So we'll say it's fine.
I clicked upload
Yeah,
before
I,
12
I
o'clock, so
I'm
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 fine.
I'm
But
fine with that. I'm fine with that.
okay, let's talk about your newsletter thing. I noticed that you had the little newsletter button. My
Yeah.
only critique is that it should be at the top of the page. Um,
I
but that's it.
the problem I'm having is that I don't care about building websites. That doesn't seem fun to me. I want to build other things and having to deal with a website, it's one of those things that I just kind of blew off and said, I don't care, make it work, use whatever dumb web framework I can find, something easy. And I'm feeling the pain of that choice because the simplest things, like adding a button, are very complicated. And it's especially complicated for me because I have no idea how this thing works, how I'm supposed to do this stuff. And I'm having to learn about it. I'm trying to just throw AI at it to make it work, and that does not work because Claude doesn't really know how this web framework works either. So I ended up having to learn some about just the site, and it almost kind of flipped the other way. I had basically given myself 2 days to try and do the web stuff and write the article. And at first, I'm just trying to slap it together. I don't care, just make it work. And then I realize, no, I'm going to have to learn something about this because otherwise there's just no way to make it work. And so I did. And then I start thinking, I should rebuild the website using this and using that. And oh, this is almost right, but actually I want it to work this way. And I start getting obsessed with all this little dumb stuff. And then I realize I still have an entire article to write. I just can't. So I kind of left it as is. The email newsletter does not actually work, but it does collect the emails in
That's
this.
all it has to do.
Yeah, which I'm glad you told me that or said that because I wouldn't have thought about that. But you were totally right. Just start collecting and then I can deal with actually getting a newsletter sent out later. But that seems to work. So
I
anyway,
just
I just had to like kind of cut it short.
Well, I just think of the newsletter as, if you had a booth at a convention or something, you have a
Right.
sign-up sheet. People literally just write their email address in,
Right.
and then
Right.
you add, you send them stuff later. Okay, so you had the newsletter and the RSS feed thing. Those are different, right? Did you figure out both or just the newsletter?
Both. The RSS feed already worked, and if you don't know what an RSS feed is, then you won't care and don't use this. But if you do, you know what I'm talking about. um, the RSS feed was already there. It's just there was no indication of it and nothing you could click to tell you the link. If you just took the URL and stuck it in an RSS reader, the RSS reader would probably find it and let you subscribe. But there was no button for it. So all I wanted was a button that just went through to a link that linked to the RSS feed. And so when you click it, now it says, this is the RSS feed. Put this into your RSS reader and you'll be subscribed and everything. And just getting a stupid button that was in the right spot that showed up as black text or black icon when the page was white, or a white icon when the page was dark because it has light mode and dark mode. It took me forever. It was so complicated and stupid.
What I find funny is that you are feeling so much resistance to working on the website, like, you're viewing it as this really stupid, annoying thing that is just in the way, but I've seen you get completely obsessed about stupid 3D printing crap or, like, the way a plant is in some sort of little 3D printed pot or whatever, like, totally equal amounts of annoying and dumb to me, but you get completely obsessed about them, and they're the most interesting things ever. So I'm wondering, at what point will it sort of flip and then you'll get obsessed with the website and then that'll become the thing that you can't stop working on and you have to go work on something
Well,
else?
it
It's just
almost
funny.
it almost did. It almost did.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sort of compliment myself here and say, I think that lately I've been doing a pretty good job of pointing the obsession in the right direction and not getting totally vortexed on something that is completely detached from any of the other big goals that I have. Part of what's making that happen is that I really am juggling a lot of stuff. I haven't really taken a
Yeah.
day off of work in weeks. I'm pretty much every day is a weekday for me where I just wake up and work all day, and I keep switching from one thing to the next. Okay, I have 2 days to work on this thing, so I'm going to work on it, for 2 days, and then I have to change to this other thing. So it's been tough. I just knocked over my key light. I don't know what it is. This thing used to be really solid, and now it falls over all the time. Maybe I'm just more jittery. Okay, I think I'm good. Um, because I have to bounce through so many different things, it's given me a little bit of perspective and just realizing, wow, I have today to work on this project, and then that's it. And that's kind of what happened with the article. It was, well, I have really a day and a half to get this done, and if I don't, one, I miss the deadline, but two, I can't really afford any more time anyway because I have to go work on this other project. So I've become very cognizant of those types of problems, and wormholing on the website and trying to build it with tech that I actually like and make it look the way I want it to and everything. I've just kind of had to say, I can't. It's not important enough to displace any of the other projects right now. Obviously, it is important to get the articles out. So I did that. And I'm just going to kind of leave it at that for now.
Yeah, fair enough. The only reason I'm coming at you about it is because it's like the only thing in my radar. It's the only thing I can attack you about. So,
No, and it's also the only thing that is public at all. So it actually is pretty important, but
yeah.
it's I think it's not that important how it works, more that it just is working and can be subscribed to and all of that stuff. So I'm gonna try not to get into the little details right now. And then
Well,
later when I have some time I will.
good job, because you weren't even sure you could do it. So, good job. I have another note. Your article. I read your article, didn't understand it, which I never do, but that's okay.
Right?
But I still read it, and
Thanks.
it didn't seem that long, and it didn't seem super complicated, if I had understood it. Um, it didn't seem like the most complex thing
Yeah.
ever. Like, it took you forever. And I was going I don't know if that's the case, but I was going to
Oh,
applaud
that's
you
true.
on keeping it simpler and just, getting it done, hitting the deadline, and then, next time you'll have something maybe is more complex or maybe even more simple, but you got it done. It looked like you kept it somewhat simple.
I
Um,
did, and it was, partly due to time constraints, and then partly it was intentional, where I'm thinking, I just want to write about one thing that is relatively straightforward. I know it's kind of obscure, but for anybody who is familiar with bash scripting and here docs and things like that, it's a pretty straightforward concept. I'm glad that it felt that way, because that was the goal, and I do feel pretty good about it. And in a kind of higher meta observation, when I'm looking at just the stuff that I've written already, but also just trying to pay a little bit of attention to what gets shared, what people talk about, it seems like mostly people talk about one idea. If you read an article, even if it covers a lot, usually it's one thing that stands out, one thing that people tend to debate and talk about. Most of the time, people aren't even finishing an article. Uh, it's it seems like mostly the marketplace for ideas is one idea that's kind of presented to you, maybe with other things around it, but it's usually not several things that are detached. And I've just been trying to think that way a little bit. And so in this case, originally I'd planned to do a lot more and talk about all these different things that I like to do when I'm writing these sorts of scripts and everything. But then I thought, I'm just going to condense it down to one idea that I think might be useful to people and just talk about that. And I'm happy that I did that. I think that that's a good way to approach it.
yeah, I think that's what I'm applauding you on.
Cool. Cool.
Simplicity, I guess. Um, yeah. Any other okay, so what about feelings of it? Or did you have any other extra things you wanted to share that you thought were interesting about this whole experience?
Um, I'm having this kind of weird feeling where I think it's good. I think I'm happy about this, but I started this blog and I wanted to just write about things that I thought were interesting and kind of in the technical vein. And my goal was to do well with the Hacker News audience. And my first article did that. So I, in a sense, achieved my goal at the first shot. And because I don't right now have any major goals with the blog, I mean, I see its value and I want to keep it there. And I might use it, oh, I will use it as a vehicle for other things later, like when I start publishing, hopefully, some of the software that I've been working on. And that's where I'm going to talk about it and try and, show it to people. And so the blog is important in that sense. But that's kind of a down the road thing. And so in the immediate sense, it's just I want to write about stuff that I've been encountering and thinking about. I want to put it out there. But I've already achieved the big goal of, doing well with Hacker News. So I don't really have that much to worry about. And so it's let me kind of feel more calm about it, where I can just write an article and publish it. And I don't feel like I need to check everywhere to see how is it doing and looking at all the metrics and everything. I just feel like, you know what? I did it. I know that I can. I know that some people connect with this well. And so I'm just going to put it out there and not worry about it too much. And it's been nice. It's kind of a peaceful Zen sort of thing. So,
You said you think you're happy about that. Is there a side that you might not be happy about?
well, obviously, I want stuff to do well and get attention and be talked about. I want to see success. And so seeing this not hit the top of Hacker News, it's like, okay, this one didn't hit the top of Hacker News again. So fine. But yeah, I mean, you could always have more views, more attention, more everything. But at the same time, I'm fine with that, and it did do well on some other websites and everything. And so I'm like, cool, people are talking about it. Somebody's following this and sharing it around, and that's cool. So
Okay, good.
yeah. But anyway, I want to talk about yours because uh, like we said, my blog thing is a little bit of a side project in that I'm spending most of my time on other things and then kind of turning my attention to the blog and writing something. And that's great. It might change in the future to be more central. But what you're doing is a little different in that pretty much this is what you're doing, or it's at least much more aligned with the main quest for you, where you are working on art in pursuit of this world building in this book, and you are sharing that via YouTube, and that is your avenue for exposure for this. So you're in a little bit of a different boat. How are things feeling right now? I want to talk about your actual video in a minute, but just generally speaking, where are you at?
Oh, that's so vague. Can we narrow that down some?
How are you depressed? Are you amped up? Are you sleep deprived? Are you sick? What's your
Um,
physical and immediate mental state?
Kinda yes to all of them. I'm not sick, I don't think. I did get sick. That's why we didn't have a episode last week. I it was so funny. After our last episode 2 weeks ago, I think I wrapped up the episode or close to the end saying, "Yeah, well, I think I'm feeling pretty good now. I'll probably just go to bed." Well, that night, literally that night, I stayed up till almost 4 o'clock editing my video. So, I guess I just wanted to confess to being a total hypocrite or a liar or whatever.
Right.
Um, so that was just sort of a I don't know. I lost control a bit, but it also wasn't the worst thing ever. I got through it. I finished it. I didn't stress too much. There was some stress, but it wasn't too bad. I overall like I am pretty happy with how the video came out. It was initially when I started it, I had kind of given up on it being, you know, whatever. Let's talk about the video in a second. Overall, on this pursuit of doing my own stuff, I think I'm feeling a bit just hopeless in that I had the I'm in sort of a totally pathetic way, like not a logical good way. I'm just feeling a little, yeah, hopeless. I'm not, but I am. I I had this video do decently well. It's headed towards 60,000 views, which is awesome.
You're talking
And I
about
have
the
another one.
kind of the
That,
announcement video, the first one.
yeah, and then which is way beyond anything I thought it could ever do.
Yeah.
I had another one which is uh, also pretty high. Whatever. I've been getting like a good amount of views on stuff. People been liking things and numbers have been growing. I've been getting I think I've been getting better at editing and making YouTube videos and learning about audio stuff and camera stuff and whatever. Just everything to do with YouTube and whatever. Um and it's just sort of like this last video I posted and it's doing pretty well. Like I mean, so far it's doing great. It's not going super viral or something. It's doing well. It's doing good. Um, but it's just kind of what's the how is this getting me any closer to a better life? This is I love doing it. I absolutely love doing it. That should be easy to see. I love all of this stuff and I want to do it full time. What I am failing to see is how the numbers and me working every second of my life on this stuff, I am failing to see how it translates to progress towards it being my life. And so I'm feeling a little
Okay.
down about the the lack of uh just it's just like okay, I just threw myself into this one project for the last 2 months. I did everything I possibly could and too much more, and it doesn't matter, and I gotta go to work tomorrow. It's like so I'm feeling that, and it's just I
Yeah.
don't feel any closer to any sort of resolution. So
Well,
that's how I feel right.
let's talk about that a little bit because I feel like there's a lot there that is pretty important. I I don't know that you can carry around a general malaise and feeling of hopelessness.
And
Uh,
I
and
won't.
and
Yeah.
well, no, but if if that's where you're at, that has to change, or it will change, either by you stopping work on the project or by getting it framed better or feeling better. But you can't just operate with that general sense of hopelessness, because that will prevent you from being able to do anything.
Yeah. And I don't feel like it's permanent. I don't feel like this is going to last probably even halfway through tomorrow, because I'll start getting excited about the next thing, which is great. But then at the end of the next thing, it will again mean nothing. So then I'll get depressed again. But it's, I the funny thing is that I'm on the right track. Like I know what I'm after.
Yeah.
I don't know everything, but I'm taking what I think are the right steps. I'm working on creating a product. I'm having conversations about growing things into a business. However, the problem is that it's going to take forever. It's just going to be way slower than I want it to be. But I am headed towards the right direction, I think. You know,
Well, okay.
but
All right. All right. Hold on. A couple things. First, the feeling that you're expressing is very familiar to me and probably to many people too. It is often the case when you set out for some goal or some journey where at the beginning you think, I don't know, you're excited about it, you question whether you can do it or not, you dream about what success might look like, and so on and so forth. But you never really consider the so what question. And this happened for me in pursuit of my lifting goals, my deadlift goal. If I don't know if anyone remembers, but I had said that I had set my goal for lifting 500 pounds in the deadlift, and the deadline was the 4th of July. And that did not happen for a collection of reasons. There were some health issues that came up that have been resolved, and I'm kind of getting back to it, but it prevented that from happening. But during that arc, I was lifting very consistently, putting a lot of effort into it, a lot of mental energy. I mean, going to a very intense place every week, twice a week, lifting heavier than I'd lifted before, and it was working. And at first, I'm very happy about that. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is working. I'm getting there. I'm grinding my way to my goals. I think I might be able to do it. And then it starts to become apparent that, like, yes, I'm very well lined up for this. Just going by the numbers, this should happen. And I'm kind of struck with this, like, so what? Okay, so I lift 500 pounds. Does that change? What changes there? Really nothing. And I kind of felt the same as you about it, where you just think, why do I even care so much? What is even happening here? Why was I so obsessed with this? You just feel this general sense of like, eh. And I hadn't even accomplished the goal yet, and I'm already over it and feeling depressed. So,
that's accurate.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a couple things happened, or a couple things were contributing to that. One was that I was very fatigued. That was part of what went wrong, was that I actually tried to push too hard for too long and really hit a fatigue wall. And when I stopped lifting, kind of initiated by taking a vacation, but then because of other reasons, it extended longer. I took the time, about a month, to recover, and the recovery was slow but tangible. And I'm realizing, after having stopped lifting for 2 weeks and I'm still sore and still feeling that systemic fatigue, I'm like, wow, I was really, really fatigued, and I didn't realize it, or was in denial of it, or whatever. But over the course of a month, getting back to normal, it just became apparent that I was overtraining, or just hadn't taken a break in too long, way too much accumulated fatigue. And the accumulated fatigue presents itself in feeling kind of depressed and malaise and all of that. So that was purely physical. What you're experiencing is, you know, not quite the same, but it sounds like there's a physical component to it too, in
There
that you're
yeah.
getting sick and you're not sleeping very well and so on. So first order item is to just consider that you might be experiencing some short-term burnout, and it doesn't usually present with you going, wow, I'm so tired, I really need to stop and rest. It presents with, I need to keep working and spending all my time on this, but also I feel depressed and unhappy and nothing really feels satisfying anymore. So I would be thinking about that a little bit.
Yeah, and I I have been. I mean, today, because yesterday was all about, the video being out, and then today is
Sure.
just sort of, "Okay, let's reset." And I did good. I'm proud of myself. I put my computer and my phone in a little box and put that in the closet and
Yeah.
just cleaned and organized. I had made
Right.
an enormous mess from filming, just
Fantastic.
camera equipment everywhere and stuff just laying all over the floor, whatever. Anyway, I cleaned it all up and just sort of tried to relax
Yeah.
and take a step back and think about, what's next and everything. So I'm able to put off the obsession. And I think a big component is just physical. I'm tired.
Yeah.
But I'm just, yeah, there's just a feeling of defeat of, I just don't wanna go to work tomorrow. And it's literally as simple as that. It's just
Yeah.
I wanna spend the day reading an art book or writing or
Yeah.
whatever, but I'm gonna spend the day tomorrow locked in an office, and that's just
Yeah.
how it goes. And it's the same complaint from whatever, but there's just this I think when you work so hard on something or when you really, really care about something, you feel like the universe owes you. You
Yes.
know? It's like, "You owe me, I did what you said, I sacrificed everything for you." And the universe is like, "I don't care."
Yeah.
So, and that's just the case, and you have to learn that and be cool with it, and, part of the solution is to maybe not care so much or not, throw so much at one thing and maybe be a little less insecure and desperate or whatever. So, I don't know. This isn't a big
Yeah.
deal. It's just kinda how I've been feeling today. It's
But
not
it
like
is it
some
is a big deal. I mean, it it is a big deal. Even if it's not fully manifested or you're saying, ah, I'll feel better tomorrow, it's fine, but it's still the problem or one of the problems that you might not it might not be a crushing weight of, oh my gosh, I'm so depressed and unhappy, I have to deal with this. And you feel more like, I'll get over it, I'll be better. But it will persist. This will happen again in a few weeks and in a few months. It's just a
Yeah,
thing that will be with you. And so I do think it is worth talking through a little bit because
yeah,
that's getting depressed or feeling that sense of discontent and having to deal with that, giving up or not, whatever, that's like the problem. That's the biggest thing, is whether you stay on this path or not.
yeah. Well, I'm staying on the path. I might change things up a bit, but, um
Well, one other thing though, just real quick, is that you're there is never a guarantee that things will work out. That is what is like that's the awful trade-off of trying to pursue things like this. A job might suck. It might not be very satisfying or whatever. Like it has all of its own problems. But somebody gives you a contract and says, "We're going to pay you all this money. All you have to do is show up and not get fired and, do your job and you're going to if the company makes a lot of money or it doesn't or whatever, we're still going to give you a paycheck," which is a pretty amazing deal in a lot of ways. And when you decide to go the other direction and say, I just want to work on my own stuff and be creative and get it out there and connect with people directly, the potential is huge. You could be doing exactly what you want to do and it could be really rewarding. It could also be absolutely nothing. You could grind forever and receive nothing for it. And even in the artistic world, I mean, many household name famous artists weren't successful in their life, which is just so
Yep,
incredible and awful. Like everyone but them benefited from their art and everything. It's crazy. So yeah, there's just no guarantee at all. But the upside here is that I was looking at your video today, just wanting to see how things are doing, and it's doing well. I mean, it's got a couple thousand views, I think, in a day, or a day ish, which is probably better than anything else has done as far as I know. So
Mhm,
that looks super promising. I was looking at Social Blade, which is just some tracking site that has metrics on how many subscribers you've picked up over, the course of however long and things like that. And it has these little projections, going out into the future, and it says, "Oh, you'll hit 10,000 subs by May of next year or something." And there's this feeling of, wow, that is a long time to hit 10,000 subs, but my experience with YouTube and all of this stuff is that things tend to not be linear, and it can feel like, man, at this rate, okay, yeah, cool, I got a couple thousand views, but how does that help me achieve my dreams or whatever? And in a sense, it kind of doesn't. It's like, yeah, at that pace, it's going to take a while, but that's not usually how things go. Usually things are nonlinear, where you're kind of cruising along, grinding it out, putting out a video after video and getting some attention. And then suddenly you get a bunch. And that's kind of what happened, or not kind of, that's exactly what happened with your first world building video. It's like you're putting things
mhm.
out, and they're over the lifetime of a video, it's getting a couple thousand views. And then suddenly this one has 60,000. And all these people are paying attention to your channel now. And likely that will happen again. The other thing is that your skill level has been improving. I mean, very clearly. I mean, that was very apparent to me. That was apparent to, I think, a lot of people who watched this last one. It was just this feeling of, oh, you kind of like ratcheted up the level here, where your YouTuber skill and just general production value really went up, and it's apparent. And so it doesn't even matter that much if this particular video catches and does well or not, because it's just there. It's like you're a basketball player who got better at the game. Doesn't mean you're going to win the next game, but you're better, and your career is going to be better. So
Yeah, all great stuff. And it was so funny because, well, okay. So there's the outer view of it of, "Oh, is this helping me achieve my dreams? No, or it doesn't feel like it right now or whatever, so I'm sad." But there's the other side of it, which was specific to this video, which was I y you know, I really did, like, fall in love with this whole idea, 90% of which I did not share or no one knows about or whatever. And so it's like, who cares? But you become so attached to this stuff, and then you share it, and I kept getting comments or, people like friends and family and stuff. They're saying, "Wow, great editing. The shots are pretty," or "This is great," or whatever. And to me, I'm thinking, I don't care. Like, I mean, it's great. Like, I enjoy the fact that I've improved at editing, but in my head, it's like, but what about all the stuff that I was thinking of? What about what I was actually trying to say? What about all the
yeah,
things I put into this video? It's like the only things that people wanna talk about are, "Oh, it was a pretty shot," or "This was fun,"
yeah,
or, whatever, and it's like, that kinda helped lead it it helped get me to the point of me thinking, "Why do I do this at all? Why share anything?" Which is so
yeah,
stupid, because people don't. I never comment like that. I don't go into great depth about how view someone's film or their YouTube video. I just watch it and leave. But the feeling was, it's like, wait a minute, aren't you guys excited about this stuff too? Or, it's like,
yeah.
I don't know. There was just this very stupid reaction from me,
Yeah.
or
I
expectation or something. I don't know.
I think you're so wrong about that. Or not wrong, you're right, but your takeaway is so wrong that
Yeah.
you're just so missing the point here. The I want to talk about the actual video because I was pretty excited about it. Um the best the best storytelling, the best story that you present in your video is the coffee cup. That is the best story arc out of all of it. And I think it's worth reflecting on why that's the most mimetic part. That's the most, it is the best storytelling. And you, I mean, you did that. That was you telling a story of the missing coffee cup. And I don't know why you would discount that and say, "Oh, I don't care about that though. I wanted everyone to pay attention to the monologue as I explain this character." Like
Well, no,
you nailed it. And that was you. You nailed it. It wasn't someone else and you're like, "Ah, crap. I did this and somebody else did that and everyone liked this part." That was the best part of the video. And I think you can take some lessons from that, but you definitely need to not just discount it and say, oh, "I don't really care about that part. I only care
well,
about
I
the more
didn't say
serious
that.
stuff."
No, people, and not just people online, but friends and family have been saying, "Oh, the editing was really good." I'm not discounting the coffee cup. I would never discount the coffee cup. Um,
The editing
it,
is the storytelling. I mean, that's like saying the writing is good in a novel. Like that's you can't just be like, "Well,
right.
yeah, but what about like that's the
Yeah.
novel. That's fundamental to what is happening."
Yes. And I'm saying that for some stupid reason, my brain is feeling like, oh, I guess I suck, but like just some stupid.
Yes, I
I don't know.
agree this is very stupid. But
Yes, I do
happy to
too.
talk through it.
But okay, the coffee cup. I've had a couple, like some people, a few people have said that it was the least favorite part, and then some
Really?
people, or not least favorite, but just thought some of that wasn't quite clear, or maybe a little too much, or whatever. Uh, but it's nice to hear that you enjoyed the coffee cup thing. The funny thing is that, I mean, it was not a skit. That happened. Like, and I was in the middle of. Do you want me to just tell the story? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I was on my last day of doing the drawing. So when I push all those blocks off the thing, and I'm like, this is the last day I gave myself to do this drawing. Well, it really was the last
Yeah.
day, and I really did finish it. It was like 5 o'clock, and I wanted to finish it by 9 o'clock. And so I give that little monologue, and I had gotten so sick of trying to figure out the mic, like the lapel mic and the stupid camera and all that stuff, and the lighting is like, where the hell do I film? And I was like, fuck it. And so I put my phone on the little thing right there, just aim it at my bookshelf, and then I just shove the blocks away. I
Yeah.
slam the thing down. I'm like, this is what I'm doing because I don't have time left. And it's like, how in the world am I gonna finish this drawing in 5 hours or however long it was? There was so much to do and so much to figure out, but it was like, I'm out of time. So I do this monologue. I cut all this out, but it was like, it's 5 o'clock now. I have till 9 o'clock. I have 4 hours. I'm getting started like right now or whatever. And then actually at the end of that whole scene, I say, but first I'm gonna go make some coffee. Well, I edited it all out of order, but right
Yeah.
then, I said, "I'm gonna go make some coffee." So I go to make some coffee so I can sit down and draw, like, insane amounts of, like, intense drawing so I can finish this by 9 o'clock. But I can't find my coffee cup anywhere. Like, and it w I I I latched onto that. I was sort of in this mode of practicing
Yeah.
with the camera and the mic and trying to figure out audio stuff, so I just started recording it, and, I had latched onto that as, like, a way to procrastinate, I guess, and I became so obsessed about the stupid coffee cup. I could not find it anywhere. I checked everything, and so I'm, like, actually none of I mean, I was playing around with the camera and stuff,
Yeah.
but it was legitimate, like, I was going kind of crazy trying to find this thing, and it was almost an hour had gone by, and I'm feeling the
Right.
dread of not being able to finish this drawing. Anyway,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the Fly episode from Breaking Bad.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, well, to be clear, I do have relatively minor criticisms around the beginning sequence of the video. So I'm not saying that that was objectively great and no notes, but the story arc of the coffee cup was, in my mind, the most compelling. And I think the reason why is because you expose a lot of emotion around this. Like you build an emotional arc around trying to find the coffee cup, and you communicate the experience of, I'm going crazy here. I know I can get a different cup, but I want this one. And I just don't care anymore. I'm going to find it. I'm losing my mind. And the music, everything just leans into that emotional arc. And then it ends with what is sort of a joke. I mean, it's not a joke, but like it becomes comedic in that you find it in the microwave, which is very relatable because I've done that many times. And then you kind of expose just the absurdity of it as if you're realizing how crazy this is. And then the video takes this big tonal shift where the music completely changes and it's like, okay, let's get to work. And it just works so well.
Yeah.
But the important part I think is that what makes that work so well is that it's not necessarily the content of the story. It isn't the details. You could have sat down and said, I looked for my coffee cup and I couldn't find it, and it felt like I was going crazy, and then I did find it and it was in the microwave, and then I got to work. And like that wouldn't be good at all. What made it good was witnessing the emotion and being brought along with it. And the fact that it was silly made that even better. And that we're just on board. We're feeling the tension where everyone is frantic and upset along with you. We're watching it happen. And then we laugh along with you, and then there's this sense of relief and it moves somewhere else. Like I said, it's the best storytelling you've done out of everything. And I know it wasn't part of the world you're trying to build, but it still was. And I think you should think a lot about that, about how that works so well. And I don't know exactly how that translates into the art world where you aren't acting out a character, but trying to show the emotion and worrying less about the actual details of a story is something I think you should work on or think about, because it was the best storytelling you've done. And it, I don't know, I just want to stress that it was really really good.
Well, thank you. I mean that's one thing that I'm trying to balance right because I I don't I really don't know a lot of other artists that are trying to do this type of thing. But mostly what artists do is they get on the camera and they say, "Hey, this is a piece I made or whatever. Let me show you how I did it. You know, first I did these drawings and then I cleaned up the drawing and then
Right.
this is stuff about anatomy." Like they do tutorials and stuff. And so I'm I don't really want to get into that. And so I want to show I don't know. I mean, all the stuff we talk about, it's like the creation of the story and then the story of the story and then like I
Yeah.
like that train of thought and I really liked one of the things that I really loved about this video is that the story of me perfectly mirrors the story of the story.
Right.
And it's me getting completely obsessed with this, totally off track, falling in love with it, and it destroying me is exactly what happens with a siren. Like it's a perfect mirror. And
Yeah.
it was just so funny to start realizing that and seeing the stories be this parallel thing. And so that's what I was trying to show with that. And I'm glad it comes across a little bit. But um yeah, I don't really know how to take that as a specific uh piece of advice to use in each video going forward, except for that using things outside of the art can help tell the story of the art or whatever. Like there's more than
Yeah.
just the art in the video.
I,
Um
I would argue that obviously you are doing world building for the art, and it will culminate in the form of a book, or maybe there's text that accompanies that, maybe you publish a book later on or whatever. Like those are very real and important mediums, and they need to be executed on well. But you are doing something else right now, which is you are telling a story from your perspective through YouTube to your YouTube audience. And that story, the medium is completely different. It's you, you're in the video, and it's the story of you creating this thing. And having this sequence of you losing your mind over the missing coffee cup is just, it is part of the world building of the world of you creating the world. I mean, that they're not really separate. Like, we are seeing it all through your eyes. It's somewhat similar to a reaction video of watching somebody that you like react to another thing. Like, you are there for all of that. That's the thing that you're consuming. And I think injecting more of your emotion and reaction into the story that you're kind of discovering in a sense along with everyone else is what you should lean into. Like, that's why we're there. Yeah, in my mind, the monologue where, you know, the video kind of moves through these different sequences, and the third act is you reading the story of the lonely fisherman and the siren and everything. And that to me is the least exciting part. And I'd actually be interested to see the video metrics to see what the viewership looks like, because my guess would be that that is where things fall off. And, you know, I could be completely wrong here, but I think that was
No,
the
they go down a little bit. And I'm not arguing your opinion, but this is one thing that I'm struggling with, is that I'll hear things from different people. Some people
yeah,
say that the story is the that's what people are there for, and they don't really care that much about the process of coming up with the story. So some people are really saying the story, like me, the lonely fisherman that was sort of reading it,
mhm,
that is the best part, and that's what they're after. Some
yeah,
people are saying they don't care that much about that. They just want to see the art happen. And it's like, and then you're saying the coffee cup, I should just do coffee cup stuff,
yeah.
which,
That's exactly my
yeah,
point.
right. No, so there's like all these different
I
ways of
mean,
looking at it. And I don't really know if there is a right answer,
no, my
but
answer is the right answer. Those people are wrong.
right. Yes, of course.
I'm very
Um,
confident of that.
well, and I agree with you and the metrics back you up in that the viewership does drop slightly. It's actually a lot less than I thought it would be, but it does
Okay,
drop a little
that's
bit
good.
towards that story.
Yeah.
Which I expected. One, because I already told the story. 2,000 people have already watched that exact story, and so I expected it to
Yeah.
shift, but I was hoping with extra context and with the drawings over top, it might sort of make up the
Which
difference.
it
But
is better, and maybe that does account for it. But I would also argue that the previous video where you did tell just that story, not very many people watched it. I mean, you beat that viewership in a day, right? So
yeah,
I think that kind of supports my argument here too.
yeah. So yeah,
All I'm saying is that the the liveliness, the emotional investment, everything we got from seeing you go through this process, even the silliness of it, was just very engaging. And when it kind of switches into just narrator mode, the art added a lot. I mean, I'm not trying to discount that. I mean, it wasn't a bad sequence at all, but all everything coming before that was, it was just like a level above, where it's just engaging and it makes you laugh and it makes you like just feel invested. And I think seeing them as very separate things is, again, just according to my hot take, I think trying to kind of blend those things together is the direction it ought to take, where we are seeing this world built through your eyes, following the emotional arc that you are having. And I want to see more of that like injected into the story itself. I don't even personally think it needs to be a completely linear start, talk, and stop story. I would be very happy to have it told in pieces as lore that you're just discovering as you go. But obviously, I mean, it's your deal and you know what you're doing here. But that's just
I do
my
not.
kind of armchair
I do not.
reaction. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Um, uh, yeah, these are all the things I'm struggling with. It's so weird because there's the chill, conversational, I'm just sitting down, let me tell you sort of what happens. This is kind of what I came up with, and this is sort of what I think. I'm not gonna tell you the whole thing. This is the general thing that happened. And then there's the, okay, well, this is the actual story. this is the thing that I wrote. It's official. It's I'm reading word for word what I
Hmm.
wrote, and here you go. It's what do they say? It's canon. Like it's
Yeah.
official. And it's like, God, how do you balance them? It's just I'm struggling with all of that. It's like, how
Yeah.
much do you go official? How much do you keep it conversational? Because if you go too conversational, people feel like, okay, well, you've talked about it. You're bluffing. You don't have anything. So it's like, okay, well, let me give you something. And it's like, well, no, we liked it when it was conversational. And then it's like, well, you're not even like I've had some of my artist friends. The vibe I get from them is that I am not I'm not paying enough attention to the art, that I'm getting lost in the whole YouTube world, and they're not saying this exactly, but that's the vibe I'm getting, or maybe that's an insecurity I have. But it's the like, I'm spending all this time on cameras and B-roll and
Yeah.
footage stuff, like real world footage things, and like I'm loving it, and I think it was really cool, but it's like, "Oh, shit, I'm supposed to be drawing stuff," Like, there was a
Yeah.
big loss in the amount of art that I did for this one, and, whatever. I'm being pulled in a million different directions, and all of this is sort of adding to that feeling of just kind of I'm overwhelmed. Like, there's just
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I love it on one hand, on the other hand, it's like, God, I feel like there's such a feeling of just constantly letting people down. Not I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I feel like I'm disappointing artists if I don't pay enough attention to the art. I'm disappointing YouTube if I'm just being a typical artist. I'm disappointing myself if I'm not, trying to do everything. And then I'm I'm wearing myself too thin if I try to, pursue every single aspect of this. And it's like, like my brain is screaming in all different directions, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
I well,
I just need
I
to sleep. I think. Yeah,
yes, that was my first assertion. I know I'm being
yeah,
very opinionated tonight, and that's probably maybe not that helpful, but my first off, what you're experiencing is anxiety, something fancier than that. So just remember that. That's just anxiety. I experience that a lot. It makes itself feel more subtle and nuanced and important than it is. It's you're just anxious. So sleep. That's gonna help. Uh but also I again, this is just my take, and I know that you've talked to plenty of people who disagree, but in my mind, you are doing YouTube. That is the window into the world that you have right now. And you should not hold back from that. That is what you're doing. You're telling stories through video. And I think it's just a huge mistake to walk back from that and go, well, but I'm also doing art. I want the artists to like this too. It's going to be a thing one day way down the road. I think that is just a mistake. You're talking to people through a camera. That's what you're doing. So do the absolute best thing that you can to your YouTube audience. I think Mr. Beast is a great example of how if you take the right mentality, you can do so well. And the Mr. Beast mentality, I'm sure you've read the memo or like heard the company philosophy, but Mr. Beast is the best YouTuber ever. For better or worse, he's the best YouTuber that has ever walked the earth. And the reason, there's probably a few reasons, but he has a philosophy of we make YouTube videos. We don't make movies, we don't make shorts, we don't make content for whatever. We make YouTube videos. And we do things that do well on YouTube. And we start by coming up with a title and a thumbnail for a video. And then we fill that in with whatever we need. Like he just fully embraces what YouTube is. And I'm not saying that you want to be Mr. Beast, but thinking that way, it seems so obvious, but actually not many people do that. Mr. Beast thinks that way, and he's the best YouTuber ever. I think you should just be thinking that way too for this project, which is you're a YouTuber right now. It's going really well. I mean, really well. You got 2K views in one day. I mean, I will get about 4,000 in a day if I upload a video. So by engagement numbers, you're already half of what I was at when I was a, 250,000 sub YouTuber. That's pretty insane for having not been at this for very long. So don't don't discount that. I really think you should just think about the videos that you're making and just make them amazing. And if later you think, okay, I want to write a book that has this linear narrative start to finish, then focus on the book and make the most amazing book you can. But right now you're doing YouTube videos. Make them really good. And I think you did. I mean, I think this last one was really, really good. I don't know why you would feel guilty about that. I think anyone saying otherwise is just wrong.
Yeah. No, I like that distinction of because YouTube is, it's a platform that you can post videos on, and you can make a home movie. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you can make a TV show, and lots of people do. You can make any type of content. You can make a, daily diary, whatever, and post it on YouTube. But YouTube is different than a Netflix or a Hulu or whatever. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is just built differently. And it's not so much of, selling yourself out to the YouTube thing, because that doesn't even exist, but it's understanding the platform that you're on. And if you go on stage in front of a million or, 100,000 people, you don't whisper. You have to speak loudly because
Right.
that is the platform that you're on. So, yeah, thinking about it as I'm on YouTube, I am a YouTuber
Yeah.
is 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 helpful, I think. Um, but I've definitely battling with the identity crisis of wait a minute, I started this to make a little art book and I was just going to document it. Now YouTube is working really well, so am I ditching that? Is what's things are shifting and changing, and you can see it in the last video. It's like what the hell's he doing?
Yeah.
You know. Anyway,
Well,
wonderful struggles to have, I think. Like, oh, boo-hoo, things are going well. Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, again, you need to sleep and recover. But I I've been yelling at you for an hour now, so we can wrap this up. It's probably more than I need to do in one session, but
I really don't mind.
okay, that's good. Um, I think it sucks to be stuck in a limbo between two mutually exclusive choices that you can't commit to one or the other. So I I, I feel like you probably should just make a call in one direction or the other as far as the book part of it. I mean, if it just is going in the direction of you're not working towards the book, you're working towards other things, then just do that. I mean, what you didn't if that is the choice that you made, you're not choosing to abandon the book or put off the book because you're lazy or you whatever. You're choosing to pursue a different avenue because it's not the easy choice. It's a ton of work, but it is rewarding and you're connecting with an audience and building an art world that way. Like I don't see the downside there. On the other hand, like if you're thinking, no, I got to get this book done. This is important. This is what I set out to do. Then just say, yeah, I'm going to get the book done. And that has to kind of be the thing that I focus on. And then that drives the YouTube videos. And so that limits me a little bit and that I can't just go off and adventure and do all kinds of ridiculous stuff. I have to continue to get these pieces done for the book. And I don't think that's a bad choice either. I mean, people are engaged with that. It is something concrete. It feels like there's a goal. It feels like we're watching you progress towards that goal. And so that is part of the story arc of the YouTube stuff. But sitting in the middle and being like, I don't know, am I doing this? Am I doing that? I'm not sure. Like that's just a bad place to be, and it just leads to that feeling of anxiety. So I would make that a priority of just figure out which direction you want to take, and then just commit. Like it's not neither one is a wrong option. They're just different choices. Giving up on everything would be the wrong option. That's the lazy, crappy way out, the thing you should feel guilty about. Choosing one avenue over the other is just like a fork in the road and you got to make a choice. But just kind of
Yeah.
walking down the middle doesn't really work.
Well, I could not agree more. I think my plan is to my next video will be about this.
Okay, awesome.
Is what I've been planning, I think.
Cool,
Yeah. But that's where I'm at.
cool. All right, I've said my piece. Should we call it there?
Yeah,
Anything else?
let's call it.
Okay. Genuinely great job. I mean, seriously, I was impressed at this one. It felt like you really kind of ascended to the next level. I know you might not be feeling it, but that was my impression. I thought it was great.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's relax a little bit and then we can start talking about the next deadline and do it all over again.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you next week.